I'm going to start. And this is kind of a delayed one because I was on vacation, so I didn't get a chance to talk about this last week or earlier this week. But the mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, is really annoying the hell out of me. We have had 3 major hurricanes impact us, and we have had a tremendous response to all 3 of them by just about all accounts from local, state, and federal officials. And all of a sudden, the mayor, Mayor Cruz of San Juan, who is a Democrat, goes on national television and starts complaining that we are killing people in Puerto Rico and that we're not doing what we should be doing to help them out. And on this National Hispanic Heritage Day, in which we are going to actually raise the Puerto Rican flag here in New Bedford this afternoon, I'd like to say pooey on her. The response really was delayed by her. The materials that they needed, the water, the food, the medicine, they were all delivered. They were there on time. The local response to this and the distribution was delayed because of people like her. And so kudos to the U.S. We're right there. We're doing what we should do. The governor, who's also a Democrat, by the way, Rosello, has had nothing but praise for the Trump administration and the American people for their help. And by the way, 2/3 of all of the gas stations are back online in Puerto Rico, and almost all of the supermarkets have reopened. And this was after the power grid was destroyed, and they said it could be 6 months before they had power. So things are moving along pretty well in Puerto Rico. So that's my outrage. Phil, what do you got?
Yeah, she is a doozy.
Yeah.
A doozy.
A doozy.
I've heard that one before.
I want to talk about Stephen Paddock.
Stephen Paddock, yeah.
Stephen Paddock.
Because nobody is really looking into his character, into who he is. I want to reference the movie, the classic from the mid-'50s, The Bad Seed. And if anyone has seen that, I think they'll understand exactly where I'm coming from here. If you haven't, I ask you to please go on the internet and get The Bad Seed with Patty McCormick, because this guy's dad was a psychopath and a criminal. I think that crime runs in his family. I think it's in his DNA. And I'd like to just support the theory that it was passed down to him, that he is psychopathic because his dad was, his brother, younger brother, has a criminal record. I'd like to take a look at that side of the theory instead of looking at, who he was otherwise.
Well,
the bad seed.
We're talking about the bad seed who didn't have a criminal record, apparently.
Right. And either
so this was his first time.
So in the movie, either did the little girl. This is why if you see the movie, it'll all come into into place. She was an innocent, a wonderful little girl, and in The Bad Seed, her mother suspects that her seemingly perfect little girl might be a heartless killer.
Well, quite often
Maybe
offenders offend multiple times before they finally get caught anyway, right? So
maybe I can find it on YouTube.
There's a bad seed in hiding.
The bad seed.
Okay. Yeah. I'm bringing it home.
Okay.
You were out of town for about a week, a little bit longer than a week.
Yeah, yep.
You got back in time, and you went out to vote.
I did.
On Tuesday.
I did.
Phil, you vote continuously. I vote when it's time for me to vote. I am mad. I am outraged that less than 10% of the people showed up to vote in the city of New Bedford for the preliminary election. Now, I shouldn't really say I'm outraged because of the fact I didn't think you were going to have a big turnout anyway. But I've heard so many excuses for people not showing up to vote, and then they wonder why government is voting themselves a pay raise. Mm-hmm. They wonder why crime is what it is. They wonder why their streets aren't paved. They wonder why the light bulb isn't screwed in out on the street. You got to get out there and vote. Now, the other side of the coin, I mentioned it earlier this week, it may be time to look at changing things around, changing the charter around, and maybe instead of having preliminary elections, you just have that big free-for-all in November. Some people like the ideas, some don't. But if you want to try to get people out to vote, A, they have to be willing to vote, and B, you have to do something to really get them out there to vote.
I know. Let's give away prizes.
Really?
Yeah, let's have like a wheel at the ballot. You go in to vote and you spin the wheel and you get a prize for showing up.
No.
How about people just doing what they're supposed to do?
But
well,
Barry,
there's nothing that says you're supposed to.
Please, Brian, please. Why don't we just do the gift certificates?
Wait a minute. What do you like behind? What's behind door number 1,
Gift
door number 2, or door number 3?
You guys are both off. We can do a seize the deal.
There you go.